In this video, I want to share a step-by-step beginner's guide to designing your life intentionally. The term intentional life design gets thrown around a lot, and I think it can seem a bit ambiguous and lofty. So I'm going to share with you my perspective on what it actually means to live intentionally, as well as how to practice intentional living yourself. But before we get too far into it, I want to explain exactly what I mean by intentional life design, at least from my personal understanding of it. Basically, living intentionally means that you sit down and you look at how you want your life to look, and then you take steps so that the way you spend your time is aligned with how you actually want to be spending it. This would be the opposite of living life on autopilot and doing the same things over and over again, day after day, just because this is how things are or because this is how they've always been. This is not to say that you are doing anything wrong right now if you're living life on autopilot. And it certainly doesn't require a massive shift in every part of your life all at once, unless you want it to, of course. Intentional life design is simply a practice of becoming more self-aware about how you spend your time. And if you choose to make changes, you can take new actions that are more closely aligned with your values. And basically, just spend your time in a way that makes you happy. So now that we have a little bit better understanding of what intentional life design is, let's spend some time talking about how to design your life intentionally. The first thing we're going to want to do is get super self-aware and imagine in as much detail as you can how an average day in your ideal life looks. I recommend taking out a journal or a piece of paper and writing some of these things out so that you're physically creating these ideas in the universe. Before we get started on this, don't worry if this doesn't match what your life currently looks like. And also try not to worry about the how of how you might get there. The goal here is to get super detailed and to inspire and excite yourself with your day in the life. Here are some prompts to get you started. Where do you live? Is it in the city, or a suburb, or in the country? What type of home do you live in? Is it a high-rise condo overlooking the ocean, or a log cabin in the woods, or a large suburban home with a pool in the backyard? What time do you wake up in the morning? What is your routine for getting ready in the morning? What does your hair look like? What kind of clothes do you put on? What time do you start work? And what kind of work are you doing? Do you work from home? Or do you like to go to an office? What time do you finish working each day? And how many days a week do you work? How much money do you make? What hobbies do you have? What kind of vacations do you go on? Do you like to fly first class to faraway vacations? Or spend time to drive to a more local, nature-centered place? Now, there are a few things that might come up for you here as you start thinking about designing your life. The first one is, what if I don't know what I want? Well, a good place to start here is actually to think about what you don't want. I'm willing to bet that you can think of at least a few things in your life that you don't like or don't want in your life. Think about things that cause you to feel strong negative emotions like anger, fear, or stress. Like for me, although I live in Southern California, I hate sitting in traffic. Like, I can't freaking stand sitting in traffic. So I might want to design my ideal life in a way where I don't have to sit in traffic. This might mean working from home, or working in a place close to my home, or working during hours when I don't have to sit in heavy traffic. Another thing I don't like, and I know this makes me sound like an old lady, is that I really don't like staying up late anymore. I know that I love getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep every single night, and I also enjoy waking up early. And staying up late just doesn't really vibe with any of that. And I find it a struggle to stay awake and alert after a certain hour. So knowing that about myself, I can choose to spend my time with other people who don't stay out too late, or choose hobbies or activities that better align with my preferred hours. Another thing that can trip people up while doing this intentional life design exercise is that we can feel tempted to design our lives the way other people want, or the way society wants, instead of what we want. That's why it's important to be really honest with yourself and practice being self-aware. As an example here, I'm at that age now when every time I open my social media, I see pictures of my friends getting engaged or married or buying a house or having babies or some combination of those things. And the more often I see those things, I can sometimes feel like maybe I should want those things too. But when I really think about buying a house, at least in this point in my life, it makes me feel a bit anxious. Like I'd be pressured to pick one place to live and stay there in the long term. And at this point in my life, I know that my freedom is really important to me. And I like being able to just up and move to a new city or place whenever I want. And there really isn't an area where I feel like I want to put down roots quite yet. So maybe for me, the socially acceptable life goal of buying a house doesn't really apply. And that's not to say that this can't change in the future. I might wake up tomorrow and think, all right, I'm ready to settle down and buy a house. And that is one of the great things about designing your life intentionally. Just because something is true for me today doesn't mean it will be true tomorrow. But the ultimate goal here is to live your life with enough self-awareness that you can regularly check in with yourself, think about what you want, and make adjustments as what you want changes and evolves. Now that we've started to design our ideal lives, we can start to ask ourselves, what does the person who already has these things do on a daily basis? And this is the whole point of intentional life design. Once you have a clear vision for how you want your life to be, you can start acting in alignment with how that person lives. And you probably aren't going to get there in every aspect of your life overnight. But by focusing on how you want your life to be, you'll start to see opportunities to take actions that align with that. And this is how you can start to deepen your understanding of intentional living and start to work toward it in your own life. I really hope you found this helpful. There's tons of information out there about intentional life design, so I would encourage you, if you're interested, to do a little bit more reading on your own and do the exercise I outlined in this video to help align your actions with your ideal life. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this video where I talk about how to use the concept of harvest seasons to make greater progress toward the things that are most important to you. So if you're interested, feel free to check that video out here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.